Hi, and welcome to the Family Wounds and Forgiveness series. My name is Kellyanne, and today I'm getting super personal. It's story time because I really want y'all to understand where I'm coming from with the point of setting the intention for forgiveness here and making that the core of our family wound healing. And it's a rough story. So I just want to trigger warning. There is talk of sexual abuse and childhood abuse. So if that is something that's triggering for you, then I would suggest you just move on to a different part of the series. But I do talk more about my personal experiences in the upcoming course. If you are following and keeping up with this series live, you will get to see a link to that course after the at the very end with the last video. But if you are watching this after the fact, you're gonna see that link everywhere. So if you are ready to hear my context and the personal experiences, as well as get tons of affirmations and journaling prompts and meditations and lots of things that are going to help you with the family wounds and forgiveness healing process, go ahead and check out the description. The link is in there and you can go and get that now. So story time. Putting it off as long as I can because it's very uncomfortable. I was taught that forgiveness is a big deal. And I was taught by my mom that forgiveness is a big deal, but in a different way. And I talk about that again in my longer video with the personal context for this whole topic in the Family Wounds and Forgiveness course. But for now, I'll just say that it felt like forgiveness was something that was for other people. And I learned what that meant. You all know by now, if you've been watching, that forgiveness to me means something that you give to yourself. It means it's a choice to move on that frees you from telling this story of suffering over and over again. And especially with the family wound suffering stories, it's essentially like a torch that's passed on to us. And we just keep carrying the torch and we keep getting burned and we keep feeling how hot it is. And forgiveness is the decision to set down the torch and be like, this isn't mine. This was never mine. I don't want this. I don't need this. The funny thing about that analogy with this story is I was using a candle to have some sort of external yes or no response, so that while I was meditating one day, I could really feel like I was grounded in what I was seeing and experiencing. And as an intuitive, as somebody who has discovered that I'm a psychic and a medium over time after playing around doing card readings for friends for a while and then doing that as a career, it really feels necessary sometimes to have that little bit of external validation. So I had a flame, I had a candle that was lit. And as I was meditating, I was tuning into a family member, a pretty distant from me family member, that whenever they come around, I always get the heebie-jeebies. I always get the icks and the yucks. And when I have checked in with my mom and my sister about it, they've always been like, yeah, no, we don't, there's something off with that guy. Especially my sister has always been like, do not feel good around, just off, feels weird, feels wrong. I, being the new psychic and medium and highly intuitive person, decided that I wanted to investigate and I wanted to see if spirit would tell me what the fuck that was about. So I decided to meditate, had the candle going, and started asking, can you show me the story of why this person just makes me feel so weird and so icky and what they've done? Because it feels like sort of this dark well of guilt and shame over something that is just buried deep and like wafting off of this person. I did several meditations on this because it was a really, like I said, traumatizing topic, really hard to experience, really hard truths to hear, really hard information to take on its face. So I've done at least 3 deep meditations to uncover the truth here. But the very first one taught me by Spirit showing me a certain version of the story that happened, which was, if you couldn't guess from my disclaimer, a story of child abuse and child sexual abuse. What I learned right off the bat from the way that Spirit showed me what happened was such deep compassion for this person and just immediate forgiveness. Because while future meditations showed me just how personal what they did was for me, the very first time Spirit showed me this person was curious about something, this person had no other outlet for asking questions, this person didn't have the internet at the time, so wasn't able to satiate their curiosity in another way. And this person honestly may have some autistic traits because they didn't really register that how wrong what they were doing was at the time. And so with all of these things combined, there was just this sense for me of really empathizing and really feeling like, wow, this person was hurting and was confused and was not sure of like how to approach questions that they had about the world, and also had nowhere to turn so that their maybe sexual needs or their sexual desires or their questions about sex and health and sexuality could be answered and could be held space for in a very supportive, vulnerable setting. I just felt like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this is how you felt was the only way for you to get these questions answered. I'm so sorry that the world is so closed off to even fielding questions about sexual attraction toward young people, or wanting to know what a young person's body is like. I mean, there were just so many different facets of detached understanding for me of what this person went through, that immediately the first thing that I experienced was forgiveness. And later on in future meditations, that was really hard for me to hold on to, because honestly, I felt so enraged about what happened and felt so confused myself about whether what they did was personal for me, and still am not sure about what the story was, and don't feel like I may ever understand or know for sure what exactly happened with this person, this family member, and me, and maybe other people that I know. Not sure that I will ever get answers, and that's something that still like really hurts me. But I also see how Spirit giving me forgiveness first as a first step to take was a very powerful thing. And the fact that forgiveness was the first thing that Spirit showed me, was the first thing that Spirit wanted me to feel going into this, so that as I continued and things started to hurt more and more, I could return to the very first thing, forgiveness, over and over. That sort of opened me up to recognizing that forgiveness is a really hard thing. Forgiveness is something that we often want other people to earn. And yet, again, forgiveness is for you. And that's something that my mom did teach me, is that forgiving other people, is something that you do for yourself, so that you don't have to carry the weight. But I believe too that forgiving yourself for not having been able to do anything about it, for being at a certain age when, this kind of forgiveness, and I say this for those of you who are watching who have family wounds and are trying to come at it from a place of forgiveness for things done when you were very young, that were highly inappropriate, and that made you feel unsafe, really fucking unsafe. I say these things and I share this particular story to let you know that the forgiveness isn't for them, isn't like to make sure that like the spiritual cord that you have with them is cut and is freed and is released, because the cords will always be there. The forgiveness is not to let them go and give them something that they deserve, because I believe that all people deserve forgiveness, no matter what caused them to become the kind of person that they are, to cause the kind of harm that they've caused to you. I believe that forgiveness is for you so that you can ultimately not just get over it, which is a phrase that I fucking hate, but you can acknowledge that there were things that hurt about what happened because you were so young that you couldn't do anything. Forgive yourself for that. Immediately forgive yourself for that. There were things that happened to other people in your family that you didn't feel powerful enough or strong enough to do anything about. Forgive yourself for that. Start with forgiving yourself every time, and that will be the way that the family wounds not just start to heal, but start to feel less like they are a major part of your story and more like you have some more, the onus of control in your life, some more power in your life. You've taken the strength that you felt maybe was lost then, and you've brought that back in, that story of strength back in, and started to play with it and started to mold and shape the way that you show up for yourself with that core of forgiveness and that new core of strength and that new foundation of power. This is for you. This healing is for you. It is not for them. I love you so much. I hope that this really vulnerable and personal story time share has helped you and lets you recognize that you might be carrying a torch that you need to let go of. I love you so much. You are deserving of all the love you desire, and I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. Mwah.